Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to do some resin pouring, some epoxy resin pouring with some magic resin, and I'm going to show you all the mistakes I made so hopefully this will help you if you ever try to do the same thing. So first of all, you can see that my resin turned out very milky and they had a lot of bubbles, and that's because if you try to mix and pour in a room that's not warm enough, it's really hard to get rid of the bubbles, and you can tell because it's actually not clear when you go to pour it. I thought that maybe if I tried to torch the bubbles out after the fact, it wouldn't matter so much, but that's a mistake. Make sure that your room temperature is significant based on what the instructions say. I think for this it said between 75 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit or around 25 degrees Celsius. So I was going to try to pour into a lot of different molds, but I didn't actually mix up enough resin to do all of them. So you'll see throughout this that I don't fill all of the molds that I had prepared. The first thing that I was going to do is I did mix up some sand and I poured some resin into that because I wanted to do a little ball with some beach sand in the bottom and some shells and color it with a bit of blue dye. So you'll see that the one that I'm doing right now is a little piece of wood with a maple leaf on it, and actually I had the maple leaf upside down. I didn't realize that the better side would be the bottom side, not the one that's facing you. And so what happened is that the design was actually on this side, the top side, and so it was in the wrong way. It actually turned out okay, which you'll see in the end. And then I had some little metal ocean charms that I ordered from Amazon, and I put some of these ocean charms into various molds, silicone molds, and then I also ordered some metal gears. They're almost like watch gears, and I put those into some other molds. So you'll see right now I'm pouring into the ball, and the issue that I had was I probably should have pre-mixed the color into the resin before I put it in. And so I wanted to try, I had a number of different things. I had sparkles, glitter, I had shells, I had alcohol inks, I had resin dye, and this is really just a learning opportunity for me to figure out how to work with resin, how to mix it, how to get rid of the bubbles, how to add color, all of that good experimental stuff. So I did use a toothpick to move some of the resin around. It was very thick and not running very well because, again, I think the room was a bit too cold. And so you'll see here with the torch, I did manage to get some of the bubbles out, particularly in the metal mold that I had there, the charm. And then you'll see I'm putting in a few drops of the alcohol inks, and it was way too much. And what happened is what I wanted to be more transparent color ended up to be pretty thick, and then you couldn't actually see into the mold itself. The other thing is you'll see that I've spilled it over onto the edges, and I also didn't know at what point could I put the two sides together, and there wasn't a way to attach them together and then pour through the top, so it has to be done this way. So if you're watching this and you've done this before and you've used this to kind of a mold, please comment, let me know how to attach these two sides together. The other thing that you'll see in the end is the shells ended up floating to the top of the ball. So right now I'm adding a little bit of glitter, and again, probably should have pre-mixed the glitter into the resin and then poured it in for even distribution. And so that was another lesson. And then it was the same with the resin dye. So not just the alcohol inks, but also the dye. I think I used too much, and pre-mixing would have made the the color, the right consistency. And you'll see I repeatedly tried to get the bubbles to pop and to create a clear resin. So you'll notice here, what I'm not noticing is that I've spilled, a little bowl is tipped over. And here I am, oblivious to the fact that resin is pouring out, and as I'm going about my business, putting in a little bit of resin dye. So I used some purple resin dye in this one, tried to move it around. And so all around, there was a lot of things that went wrong with this first attempt. I'm hoping that the next time I'll get some better results. And so here you'll see I really am having trouble getting the purple to distribute around. And I know that the resin will self-level and some of that would have solved itself. So here we go. I'm noticing the spill. Oops. And so I attempt to put it back in. Now this created even more problem because the issue here is now I've got resin all over the outside of the silicone mold, and there was no way I was going to put them together. And here I am trying to figure out, I'm trying to contemplate, how am I going to put these two halves together? And I just assumed that if I waited until they were semi hard, then maybe I could put them together once they'd cured. So here you'll see that I did put the mold together. This was there. So this one here with the tree, I did paint this tree on. I had poured another. I had a bit left, and I poured it into another mold that I didn't film. I scraped it out of the bottom, and that one seemed to turn out the best out of all of them. So here I am trying to get the ball out of the silicone mold, and this was a nightmare. It was really a disaster, but really good learning for me. So, oh yes, and another thing, I didn't put enough resin into each half of the mold, so it didn't even turn out to be round or a globe, and it was flat on the top. It was just all around not a good art product. And so here actually, I almost ripped the silicone mold. I was pulling so hard. The silicone was actually right inside the resin. So here you go. This is what it turned out. The sand actually turned out well in the bottom, but the color was wrong. The shells had moved around. It was flat. Oh, just what a terrible first attempt. So here I am. I'm gonna unmold some of the other ones. The purple octopus with the resin dye. It seemed to do okay. Again, I learned a little bit about pre-mixing it. I think next time that will make it a little bit better. And this one, again, the leaf was upside down. I think I'm going to paint a little bit of, I'm going to paint some of the stems on some of the veins on the leaf with acrylic, and then I will seal it again with a little bit of resin. So all of these had way too many bubbles, again, because of the mix to begin with, just wasn't right. It actually looks okay, but definitely not clear. Little tiny bubbles, and I'm not sure if you can see that up close there. But so it was all right, but not really the look I was going for, although you can tell what's inside. It would have been so much nicer if it had been actually completely clear resin. And same with this one. Here's the little gears. I'll put a link in the description to where you can buy this on Amazon. It's a really big pack. It's got multiple colors, and same with the Ocean Life charms. So I didn't mind those. So what I did is I took a silver Sharpie, and I did color around all the edges to make it look like they were molded in metal. It actually turned out to be okay, and when I showed this to my niece, she actually liked it, and she wanted one for herself, so she took it. And I just want to go back to the one that's the tree that I painted on with acrylic paint. So what I did is I painted it on with acrylic paint. It had sparkles in the resin, and I actually just with my finger took some of the resin that was left over in the bottom of the cup, and I actually just just put a little layer with my finger, with my gloved finger over the tree, and it actually looked like it was embedded in the resin. So I guess there's ways that we can fix up some of these things. And I did order on the one that's got the painted tree, I did order, they're like little hooks that you can screw into the top so that you can put a chain through, or another way to hang it around your neck. So this is another Sharpie. This is, I think, a bronze or a copper one. Just, I wanted to try out that to see if it looked as nice as the silver. So all in all, not fantastic, but not a complete write-off. And I think if I had started out with the right temperature, it would have been so much better. And so yes, they're wearable. They're all right. Cute little octopus. And yeah, that was a fail. But that's okay. I enjoyed the process. And so here we have the final results. Please subscribe, like, share, and it does help me as I'm starting my new YouTube channel, and I'm hoping that I can help you with your art projects as I learn with you. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.